So I've covered a lot of indie FPSs in my day, and some of them have turned out great, some of them have turned out not so great. But one thing that I always find is the developers who go into it with the right mindset and the right plan are the ones who are usually more successful than the ones who go in not as prepared. There is a game that was covered on Blue Drake's channel yesterday that I went and watched the first dev vlog that they put out on February 14th, and it's some of the most impressive development, vlogging, and articulate discussion on what the game is going to be, who the developer is and where he came from, his background, and the inspirations for the mechanics that are going to be within this game. And that game is called Road to Vostok. We're going to cover it all here. It's looking absolutely dope for an early look at an FPS. But before we do that, I have to thank today's sponsor, World of Tanks. Which, if you guys didn't know, World of Tanks is a free-to-play, warfare-themed, massively multiplayer online game produced and published by Wargaming. Now, World of Tanks features over 200 different vehicles from different factions like America, Britain, USSR, Germany, and many more. The tanks can all be upgraded with different parts and different crewmen, actually, that affect the overall gameplay and they give you different abilities. And I find that the game strikes a nice balance between realism and arcadiness, so it's not a simulation, but more of a competitive vehicular combat game. And I've also dropped videos on this game on my channel in the past. So if you guys want to check out the game, you can do so for free, and you can sign up and install World of Tanks and use the code TANKMANIA, and you get a tier 5 tank, 250k credits, 7 days of premium access, and you get 3 rental tanks that you can use in 10 battles each. All of those benefits are available to new players, so make sure you guys click the link in the description and the top pinned comment. A big thank you to Wargaming for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to Road to Vostok. So like I was saying in the intro, this is one of the most impressive dev vlogs that I have seen in a long time. It starts off with the developer discussing his history in the Finnish military and how he always wanted to pursue game design, and basically kind of went from there. He took the inspirations of the games that he really enjoys, games like DayZ, RuneScape, and Stalker, and broke down how those like core design elements and how Stalker kind of, your whole goal is to move towards the center of this exclusion zone that you're playing in, and how he really liked that there is an overarching goal, but the atmosphere and like all the side quests and everything to do just kind of flows you into this world and allows you to play the way that you want to play. And he took those design elements and broke them down into how the maps interact with one another and how he's planning to do it for this game here. It's a 31-minute video, and it's some of the most impressive like developer discussion that I think I have ever seen and discussed on this channel. He's got a full body inertia system, he's got leaning, there's a procedural FPS system as well, and he shows some of the shooting mechanics with the leaning, and it's looking really cool. Like, it's a white box level, and he's in there shooting what looks to be like an AK variant and a pistol, and it looks really smooth. And you can see when the pistol kind of goes up to the face, you can customize the muzzle, the ammo type, the sights and optics. There's a fire mode as well as a magazine prompt. And then there's also something called condition. So I'm guessing that's going to lead to gun jams and other things. But these systems are already in place and it looks really dope. And then he shows off the specific attachment and scope system where he throws a 4x ACOG on top of the rifle. And then we get our first look at the inventory or the item and container system. And you can see that the inventory is a box layout similar to games like Escape from Tarkov or, a Resident Evil. And then you look on the left and there's all of these vitals. So you got stress, fatigue, contusion, strain, pain, or bleeding. There's, dehydration, insomnia, delirium. There is a lot of systems going on, and this is a base, core foundation for the UI right now, but a lot of core survival elements are present here, and I'm very impressed. He's got a modular behavior system for the AI, and I think that's going to be one of the make or breaks for this project for me, and specifically when it comes to single player FPS, when you're talking about more hardcore elements, when you have AI that's, you know, 360 no-scoping you through bushes and other funky shit, that's what makes or breaks games for me, and I really hope that this turns into something way more fluid and fleshed out. He literally breaks down the core mechanics and what his priority number 1 is and priority number 2. So obviously your main priority is movement, shooting, looting, and enemy AI, which is great. And then his second priority, you got stuff like medical, shelter, quests, trading, survival, crafting, events, and challenges that are going to be taking place within Vostok. And then in a surprise to me, he shows off the visual style of the game, so gets rid of the white box environment and drops you into a forest that he created for this game. And it's looking, dude, it looks like something you would see from a game like Stalker or another like AA or AAA developer. And this dude is making it all by himself. And it's sweet because he talks about how he's going to be breaking down the world into 2 different areas. So you have Area 5, which is kind of your starter, you know, loot and do quests and build yourself up. And there is an element of like permadeath where if you die and you're not in a shelter, you'll lose everything that you have on you, but you won't lose anything that's in your shelter, items stored or whatever. But then you make your way through like this checkpoint system in the middle, which is the transition area into Vostok. And once you get in there, it's permadeath. If you die, you lose absolutely everything in the shelter, everything that's stored, your character, everything on you. It's completely permadeath. It's hardcore as hell, and that is the end game area for the game. And I know a lot of you guys are multiplayer fans. You like games like DayZ and Escape from Tarkov. You like that element of having other players around. I really just wish that this game had some sort of co-op element, because for me personally, I just don't like playing games by myself. If even it's co-op and you can bring another person in or even 2 other people in and you can go through the game like as a team and just maybe crank the difficulty up, I think that would be really cool. For me, that's why I haven't really dived into games like Stalker or Anomaly, because I just don't like playing by myself. Dying Light 2, yes, it's a co-op experience, and that's the only way that I'm going to be playing that game. Games like Halo Infinite I haven't touched yet because I'm waiting for the co-op campaign. That's just how I've always been. I just don't really enjoy single player games. So it would be really dope if we could have any sort of like co-op element to this as well, because some of these environments, he walks into this house and he's walking around, it looks like it'd be a really fun game to get lost in. And he goes into the goals and the rules that he's setting for himself as a solo developer creating a world like this. He says the goals for the environments is to be very, very atmospheric, based on real world locations, and authentic and abandoned feeling of the areas. And he has rules for himself, so he says every location in the game must be visited by himself. There's going to be no photorealism or PBR rendering, no large open world environments. So the way he describes this is you're going to be moving from area to area, and there's transition points on each corner of the map that you're in, which will take you to the next area. So it's kind of like a linear, imagine if like you were playing Tarkov and you wanted to go from factory to labs, there would be a transition point in between the maps which would allow you to traverse it. And when you're playing a single player game, it makes sense. He talks about his modeling and how he uses references to then build out the assets. Like it's such an in-depth video, and I urge every single one of you to go over to the channel. I'm gonna have it linked down below, and just give it a subscribe, give it a view. There's only one video on there right now, but it is such a treat as somebody who is really into the development side of things and watching developers do their thing when it comes to making their dreams come true. This is just, it's just an incredible watch. I'm geeking out over it just watching it and recording this video. And then near the end, we see the roadmap and the phases for what he has planned. There is going to be a public demo releasing in Q3 of 2022, and then the next public demo, Q3 2023, and then he's going to be going to Steam Early Access at an undefined time, and he kind of shows what's going to be involved in each of the demos. So the first one's one's just going to have a map plus a shelter. The next one's going to have 3 maps plus 2 shelters, 2 of the checkpoints, and then 1 area in Vostok. And he kind of goes through and discusses everything that's going to be there, and he says he understands that it's going to be an undertaking, but he has the right skill set and the right tools at his disposal to make one of the best hardcore survival games that he can possibly make. And for me in this community, we're getting into this at the ground floor. He has a website, and he even says in the video there's not a lot of content, but he's going to be building it out as he develops this game further. And if that kind of content is reflective of what we see in this first devlog, I'm all here for it. Even if the game doesn't ever come out, you guys are literally looking at the blueprint for where I would love to see indie developers go in the future when it comes to being communicative and creating content to keep their communities in the loop. Very, very impressed. I'm going to have the links down below. Big shout out to Wargaming for sponsoring this video and allowing me to pay my bills while we bring you guys awesome hardcore survival FPS content. My name is BigFry. If you guys like the video, leave a like on it, subscribe down below, and if you like the content enough, become a member for 99 cents a month and join all of these beautiful people who are supporting the channel financially. I stream here on YouTube Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, so there's a ton of content for you guys to consume. My name is BigFry, and I'll see you on the next one.